episode of Be More Super, the podcast. It's an awesome interview. If you're a fan of anything DC, especially Doom Patrol, we've got the secretary in the house. It's Jackie Goldston. Jackie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. And before we get on, to look at your amazing career, how is everything where you are with the pandemic? How are you keeping positive, and how are you moving those feet forwards?
I think we as actors have built such a thick skin that for us, things tend to roll off a little more easily than the rest of the world. Plus, I'm an introvert, so it's been kind of good, at least for me.
Do you know what? I saw a meme the other day with Clint Eastwood on it, and it said that you didn't realize how antisocial you were until the pandemic came and nothing changed. And but unfortunately I've been working all the way through, so is my wife, so we've been very, very busy, but we've just got to be positive and look after each other. And I think it's a giant reset button for humanity, and all this creativeness. What have you been getting up to during the pandemic? Have you tapped into any creative outlets that you didn't before?
I actually finished writing a short screenplay, and I did a couple of other creative things. I took some online classes, made my time pretty well, but then I would notice, oh, hey, a notification. So yeah, I completely got distracted.
Good old technology, eh? Were you affected with the outage of Facebook and Instagram? It was for a whole 6 hours.
I didn't even know about it.
Me neither. Me neither. And that just shows, Jackie, that we are normal human beings with lives. Those 6 hours, people were panicking. I didn't even realize. But peace and quiet for 6 hours. It was great. So, so why acting, Jackie? Why acting and not any other career?
I actually was going to be a doctor. I went to school preparing for medical school, but my senior year of high school, I got bitten and never turned back. I don't know why. Perhaps it's because I am such an introvert. I had no personality, and I realized that when I was on stage, I could have a personality. What
Hmm.
what a fabulous thing to have. Somebody wrote the words for me. I didn't have to come up with anything.
I've got to say, some of the best actors out there are introverts. They really are, because when you go on stage, you're playing a character. You're not playing yourself. So it's your chance to be someone else and to escape for a bit. So obviously you wanted to be a doctor, but now you could play doctors in shows, which is awesome. So you can have best of both worlds, I suppose.
Exactly. And I have played a doctor on television. So,
Oh, awesome. Awesome. That is fantastic. Obviously, auditions have changed over the last year and a half. And I read somewhere that you have mentored in the past and helped people with headshots and you've done, is it called mentoring? Is that the term to call it?
mentoring is where we come alongside someone who is just beginning in the industry, and we kind of help them through without allowing them to get stuck in some of those what we call scams. I
Mm.
think we all know what a scam is, but there's a lot of those out there that take advantage of actors, especially, and I don't like to see that happen. That's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Mm. Auditions wise, do you enjoy them? Do you enjoy going to auditions? I suppose it's more self tapes now, but did you enjoy going and standing in front of people and doing auditions?
Here in the Southeast, where I am located, we've been doing self tape auditions for years and years. So we've actually become the the really good self-tapers, and going to an in-person audition was completely foreign until, about 6 years ago when things started really ramping up here. I have to say that for us, it really didn't change a whole lot, except that we don't have any in-persons now.
Mm.
But we know what we're doing here, and we just plug along. I love auditioning so much. It's so much fun.
And I've got to say, self tapes, I suppose, it gives you that the added bonus of being able to re-record and keep on going. But I suppose that opens up the floodgates to that perfect, the OCD side of things. Was that a good enough audition? Because you haven't got anyone to bounce anything off. I suppose when you're in an in-person audition, they might tell you to do it a certain different way or with a different emotion, and that would help you. Do you remember your first ever audition?
I remember one of them. It was for a national commercial here in the US for a mattress company, and I did everything wrong. I dressed in the outfit with the satin pajamas. It was hilarious, but I booked it, and the rest is history.
And you know what? My next question was going to be, what was your worst audition? But would you call that your worst audition, or because
I
you got the job? Would you?
I think so. Well, I don't know if you know who John Madden is. He's a US
Yeah,
football announcer. He was
yeah.
very popular in the 80s, 90s, and he was the narrator of this particular commercial. So one of his requirements was that the CDs had, the casting directors had placed in newbies into the roles. So here comes Jackie walking in.
Awesome,
That's
John
me.
Madden.
That's me.
Do you know? Do you know what? I've got an absolute love of American football because I had relatives that lived on the east coast in Maryland, and I'd go and see the Redskins. Well, they're not called the Redskins anymore. I think they're called the Washington team, or and rightly so. And American football is fantastic. So yeah, John Madden, he's a legend, and I think everyone knows him from the games. So so when you started out acting on this route, did you or have you got an end goal? What you want to achieve in your career?
As I've grown older, I've realized that I don't want fame and fortune. I just want to work. And I
Mm.
think that maturity and the wisdom that comes from everything that we've been through is such a great healer of minds, of the past. It brings a lot of peace. I personally would love to work like Margot Martindale. I would love to be her when I grow up. I told someone that the other day, and I think she's constantly working, and she's constantly creating these beautiful characters with such depth. And she does all these accents, which I'm a huge fan of as well. I tend to slip into an accent here and there very quickly when I'm with people. It doesn't know
Very good.
who I'm with. It really doesn't matter, but I just do.
That is awesome. You know what? If only Kevin Costner did that in Robin Hood, it would have been such. The thing is, I can't get this. So Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Kevin Costner had an American accent, but America wasn't even discovered at the time of Robin Hood. So, but Russell Crowe did an amazing accent in his film, I've got to say. Very, very good. So I presume you do all the training with all the accents, the dialect coaches and everything like that, or do you naturally pick them up?
I naturally picked them up. I actually lived in England for 3 years, and I
Oh,
came
wow.
home with an English RP accent as well as a slight bit of not really Cockney, but just a smidge of an RP with a Cockney twist to it, I guess. And yeah, I just have a very good ear. Living in the Southeast, people have told me that I sound Southern, so I really don't mean to, but
Oh,
that's just what comes out, and I can't help it. So
You know what? I absolutely love that accent. I just think it's awesome. It's one of the places I want to go, down to like Mississippi and the true South, and oh, I love that accent. I can listen to it all day. But yeah. So I presume you was in London. If you were saying you had the Cockney accent down, we
I went back and forth, but I was situated over near Ipswich. It was
okay.
in the early 90s.
Awesome, awesome. So, in your journey from deciding not to be a doctor and being an actor, what was that journey like? How many obstacles did you face, and how challenging was it to get to where you are now?
Once I made that decision, I felt like there was just nothing that could make me choose otherwise until I had my first fail.
Mm,
And then I decided to go into architecture. I thought, okay, so I thought I'll just go to Georgia Tech, a very big tech school here in the U.S., and I'll get my degree in architecture and just be on with it. My father was a geologist, so I'll go toward the sciences. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't make myself do it. I started a family very early. And from that point on, I put them first and finished my film and acting training while I was growing my family. And it just grew from there. With that first national commercial, the profits from that, I helped to create, well, I did create, I founded and was creative director of a community theater group here in the metro Atlanta, Georgia area.
oh, that is awesome. And is that still going now? Is that still going strong?
Oh, no.
Oh, oh no. Well, right, we'll move on to the next question.
Unfortunately.
So why you were flourishing into the actor that you are now? Who was your biggest influence throughout that journey?
Oh, my goodness. Uh, Really good question. I was the kind of girl in high school that nobody asked out. So I sat with Shakespeare, reading Shakespeare on weekends and nights when I was done with homework. So I'd have to say it was Shakespeare, honestly, truly and honestly. And
Wow.
I as a little as a little child, my grandfather, I didn't realize it at the time, of course, but my grandfather said, "Everyone be quiet. Jackie's watching the commercials." So from a young age, I always had this affinity towards those short stories that really grabbed you.
And Shakespeare is not easy to read. I mean, I studied performing arts, and I had to learn about Chekhov and Stanislavski, and I would prefer that side of things to Shakespeare. And it's horrible for me to say because I live literally probably about an hour and a half from his birthplace. But he was a genius in his own right, and obviously he influenced the business that you're in. But let's talk about Doom Patrol because it's one of these DC programs that it's not like any others. It really, really isn't, and it's definitely not a show that you can watch around the kids because good old Cliff, he needs to learn new words. But for everyone that's living under rocks that's never seen Doom Patrol, who do you play in the show? And a bit about the show as well.
Doom Patrol is about 5 characters who are broken people who inadvertently get superpowers through some cataclysmic event. And one of those characters, her name is Jane, and she originally was not called Jane. She was originally named Kay. Well, the little girl Kay suffered trauma at the hands of her father and her mother ignoring that. So Kay split personalities into 64 different personalities. One of those personalities is Jane. So when Jane gets to and was written into the Doom Patrol in 1989 by Grant Morrison, they called her Crazy Jane. Now, mind you, they only called her that for the Doom Patrol in the very first episode, and they've not called her that since because she does suffer from dissociative identity disorder. So that's the proper way to talk about that particular issue. So I am one of those personalities, one of 64. And when we talk about her brain, all of these personalities going on in Jane's brain, her brain is called the underground. So literally, when we go into the underground, it looks like the underground.
Mm.
And it smells like the underground. Everything about it is very much like the underground that I remember.
Wow, Jackie, you've explained that so well, a lot better than I could have. And I've got to say, Jane is a very, very dark individual. And when we first see you, I've got to say, it was quite scary. I mean, again, it's not like, you know, any other show, that's out there. There's storylines in it that are just astonishing. I mean, when this part came to you, on your doorstep, as they say. What were your first impressions? I mean, what did you think of the part, and did you realize what you were auditioning for?
I had no idea. Once I started researching, I started to realize that it was a comic and that there was some something going on with this Jane, but I had no idea about the personalities. I had never heard of the secretary. There was nothing to research on the
Mm.
secretary. So I literally had to create from scratch this persona, whereas some of the other characters were able, or the other personalities were able to watch Diane as those personalities first.
Mm.
And I didn't get that chance, but it's such an honor because all of them have become my sisters. We're very much a family.
And that was gonna be one of my questions. That the cast is phenomenal, including yourself. But the question was it all rainbows and butterflies on set? Was there any diva moments at all?
I think there's always going to be diva moments, but for the Janes, that's what we call
Mm.
ourselves, we're all very good. We're all very behaved.
And I've got to say, it's great to see Brendan Fraser back out there. I think the internet has gone crazy and viral over the love for that man, because obviously he's been through bad times, and it's just really nice to see him back on screen, because we all remember him in the Mummy franchise, and it's just an awesome actor. So season 3, that's currently out in the US, we're still waiting for the executives to make that decision to bring it over to the UK. Um, so I presume you filmed during the pandemic. Is this correct for season 3?
We began filming earlier this year.
Okay.
Normally, we would have begun last November,
Mm.
but we had to wait until a few months into 2021 before we started filming.
And how did it feel filming under conditions like, PPE, the masks, and everything like that? Did it feel safe on set?
It did. They were very, very strict. But yet, when the Zone A people, which are the actors and the director and those particular persons who are allowed on screen on set, when the Zone A people were together, we all knew that we felt safe because each of us was very, very concerned about the other. So just
Mm.
the fact that we all love each other, we
Mm.
were concerned enough to keep ourselves clean before the vaccine, doing the right thing, staying 6 feet apart. It was very hard because we all do love to hug.
That is so refreshing to hear. It really is. Um, what have we got in store for season 3? Obviously, I'm not asking for spoilers, but you know, compared to season 1 and 2,
There is a lot going on in season 3, and it's the best one yet.
is it? can't wait. They need to bring it over to the UK. And personally for you, I mean, over the seasons, have you got a favourite scene that you filmed on the show?
I have to say, the very first time that I appeared in Jane Patrol, which was season one, episode six, I think that would probably be the very favorite because the secretary was introduced and all of the personalities were sort of introduced at once, and we all appeared as Jane's underground family.
Mm. And I've got to say that moment scared me as well because you seemed very stern and very assertive. And I think if you turned up like that and told me off, I think I'd cry. I'm gonna say, right. So we've gone over that. So obviously we want to find out a bit more about you, Jackie. So for the fans out there that have seen you on screen, I've got a few questions, random fire questions. So nothing too over the top. But so last movie that you saw?
Oh, uh, does Midnight Mass count?
Oh,
It's a mini
do you,
series.
do you know what? It's amazing. I had Sturge on the show a little while back, Matt Bidle, and I've got to say, the beauty about that show is that you're watching the screen, and then in the corner of your eye, you see something, and you've got to think, wait a second, what was that? And the power of Netflix, you can rewind. But yes, you can say that it's an awesome show.
Phenomenal.
Did you expect the end? I mean, it makes you question it. I mean, I saw it a couple of months before it came out, and I had to keep my lips sealed. And I just wanted to get my mates round to actually watch it because I just think it's awesome. But no, I am very good with confidentiality. So the last time that you laughed, like properly laughed.
Oh gosh. Probably last Saturday night when my best friend and I got together to just, oh, we watched a scary movie. We did watch Malignant. That's right. That was the last one that I saw. Uh, we ate popcorn, drank wine, and painted nails and ate chocolate. And we laughed about all kinds of things. She and I are two peas in a pod, and she's also an actor. Believe it or not, we actually really get along well. And she keeps me laughing and she keeps me staying positive.
Oh, that's awesome. What makes you angry, Jackie? What really makes your blood boil?
Something, oh, people taking advantage of children.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got two small girls myself, and I tell you what, I would go to the ends of the earth to make sure they're safe and happy. I really do. And what makes you happy? I presume you're going to say your kids.
Absolutely. My children, my husband, my grandchildren,
Wow,
our dog.
wow, grandchildren. That is awesome. I mean, it's just that phone call because my girls are quite young. It's really bizarre to think that one day they may have kids, and but I suppose you can give them back, which is great because it's your time to enjoy your life now.
Exactly. As a parent, you have to say no, no, no. But as a
Mhm.
grandparent, you can say yes, yes, yes.
Fill them up on sugar, pass them back. And what's been your proudest moment in your career to date?
I would have to say starting the theater company so many years ago and never once being in the red financially and being able to also turn my back on my company and leave with everything doing well. And unfortunately, they shut the company down 6 months after I left, mind you, but everything was good. I was good. And I was very proud of what we had accomplished.
And is that something that you might explore in the future? By doing another project very similar to that one?
It's very possible. I miss theater so very much.
Do you know what? And it's nice that the pandemic restrictions over here are slightly lifting. I don't know what they're like where you are, but the theatres are opening now, and the West End is open, and people are going to the theatre, which is really great because I've got loads of friends that have been out of work for so long. So, have you got any other things planned that you can tell us about that you're working on, or are you putting your feet up and enjoying life with the little children?
My husband and I, because we have no children here, just our dog, we recently bought a motorhome. So we are traveling a lot
Uh-huh.
and enjoying the United States as much as possible before we are able to get out to other countries, which may be a while depending
Mm.
on vaccinations and such. Um, but as far as anything else that I am involved in, I can't say.
It's always the case, but you've got to try.
Non-disclosures.
And also, do you ever keep anything from any of your shows? Have you kept anything from Doom Patrol? Any outfits or?
Never. That's terrible. That's like stealing from your company.
No, it's borrowing. It's being like the caretaker of, your outfits. You're keeping them safe.
I'm a goody two shoes. I'm a rule follower, and I just couldn't do it.
Oh, maybe one day they may just say, "Here you go," and then you can keep a piece of TV history. Jackie, you've been a great guest. It's been fantastic to have a little time with you chatting. How can people follow you on social media? Not obviously in person because that's a bit weird. But how can people follow you on social media?
Stalkers are not welcome. I
Well, wait a second. When you get a stalker, I think you're at a level of sort of. It's got to be sort of a compliment, but yet a sort of.
possibly.
So for all the stalkers out there, don't listen to the next bit. But the fans, where can the fans follow you on social media?
Instagram is Jackie_Goldston, and I also have a Facebook page for Jackie Goldston.
That is awesome, Jackie. You've been a great guest. Thank you so much. Keep safe, and all the best with the future.